The treaty shall enter into force between the states which have ratified it.
President Truman signed the North Atlantic Treaty in 1949, forming the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. The aim of the U.S. and European allies: stand firm against communism and promote democracy.
If there is anything inevitable in the future, it is the will of the people of the world for freedom and for peace. Men with courage and vision can still determine their own destiny. They can choose slavery or freedom, war or peace.
We will now proceed to the signing of the North Atlantic Treaty.
The initial 12-member countries included Belgium, Canada, Denmark, France, Britain, Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, and the United States.
Including the ratifications of Belgium.
The signing came just a year after the communist takeover of Czechoslovakia and not long after World War II.
This four-pointed star is the emblem of NATO.
They agreed that NATO's mission would be to safeguard the freedom and security of its members through political and military means. And they agreed in the treaty's Article 5 that an armed attack against one or more of them shall be considered an attack against them all.
During the war, the Soviet Union had already absorbed parts of Finland.
The Soviet Cold War nuclear buildup would force NATO to deploy cruise missiles in Europe. President Jimmy Carter:
We face the challenge of promoting the human values and human rights that are the final purpose and meaning of our alliance. The task is not easy. The way to liberty has never been.
Our opportunity clearly is to bring the world closer to our vision.
The Cold War with Soviet nuclear escalation tested NATO, but by 1989, revolution began and communism began to crumble.
NATO continues to serve as the main forum where the West can formulate and coordinate common political decisions.
A new era of peace is being hailed in Europe tonight after the summit meeting of NATO leaders.
By 1993, NATO extended its hand to former Warsaw Pact members, and by 2002, 7 former Eastern Bloc countries were invited to join.
For me, this is a miracle. This is a miracle of freedoms.
It would be the mid-1990s before NATO took its first wartime action in the Bosnian War.
All efforts to achieve a negotiated political solution to the Kosovo crisis have failed, and no alternative is open but to take military action.
NATO intervened again during the Serbian crackdown on Albanian civilians in Kosovo. Military might would be needed again after the 9/11 attacks, when NATO invoked Article 5 for the first time in its history and joined the U.S. in attacking Afghanistan.
At this critical moment, the United States can rely on its 18 allies in North America and Europe for both assistance and for support.
If we do not defeat the terrorists in Afghanistan, we will face them on our own soil. Innocent civilians in Europe and North America would then pay the price.
With that war ending, NATO's 28-member countries come to Chicago to focus on preparing for the threats and challenges of the 21st century.
Chicago is a city built upon diversity and determination, and those values underpin NATO too. So Chicago is a fitting host for the NATO summit as we endeavor to implement our vision of an alliance ready to tackle the security challenges of the 21st century.
Steve Grzanich, News Radio WBBM.